Death Battle Season 24 is over, wrapped and sealed, and oh yeah, this season had a lot to show for its return. Despite the fact that we only had 4 episodes to cover for this season, there is absolutely a lot to talk about. Now, to make it clear, this list is really short. I don't dislike any of the episodes here. All the episodes I will be discussing had positive aspects to them that made me really enjoy them. Granted, number 4 has the lowest score that I gave in my review, and if you've watched those, you probably know what matchup I'm talking about, but before I go into those opinions in detail, you've got to know what I'm looking at when it comes to an episode's ranking. This is simple. I will look into the analysis of each fighter, and how much I enjoy the character's rundown. Do the analyses make me interested in the character, and do I know what they can do? Is it also well edited, and were the jokes funny? If any of these 4 categories are not done, it will likely rank lower. Next up, the fight. Did I like what was shown? How tense was it? Were the abilities encountered and exchanged well? Would I listen to the track on my normal everyday commute? There is probably more, but trust me, I'd be here all day explaining. And the conclusion. Did it sell me on who won? And more importantly, was everything explained well? Things I will not be including is stuff like the next time, because that's fucking dumb and has no correlation to the episode's overall quality. So, with all of that out of the way, let's begin the list. However, if you like this ranking, let me know in the comments and I make more rankings for other seasons. But now, list time! Oh wow, the premiere is number 4, who would have thunk? Well, there's like 4 episodes, so that's not exactly the easiest task to do, but be quiet. Well, it isn't that shocking to be fair. Comparing my review scores, this was the only episode I did not give a 10 out of 10 upon launch. Even worse is that the score I did give it has been lowered. Omni-Man vs Bardock has a lot within it that caused a lower score than usual. I will explain why in the fight section, as that's where most of my problems show up. Coming into this matchup, I wasn't really giddy and excited for it. The main happiness I had was that it was going to be the episode that Death Battle was coming back to. However, this was one of 2 matchups where, going into it, I didn't really care for anything going on. The analysis for both characters is pretty good, however. It lets you know the exact story arcs that these characters go through, going from planet-conquering villains, evil people, to redeemed fathers. Also, in Omni-Man's analysis, there's a bunch of comment dots that are overlaid on the text, which I think is really good specifically for Omni-Man, simply because it gives more of an identity to the analysis. Omni-Man is also the only original character from comics. Everyone else comes from video games or manga, which is actually kind of wild considering how often Death Battle likes to use comics. I mean, you can tell from these 2 franchises, and they weren't even in the season. Bardock's analysis is also really good, featuring still editing that Omni-Man had it with his own style, like the one being specialized and editing around specific moments.
Who are you people?
What both analyses had in common is that they did a good job of going into the character, like I said. And that's what got me invested into the characters going on. Even then, I'm not checking out either their series, but moving on. Naturally, all of this character is shown in the fight. And look, I'm gonna be honest, the reason the score of this episode dropped is because the problems I had with the episode were more and more jarring as time passed. The biggest problem I'll get out of my way right now is Omni-Man's model. I understand why it needed to be customized. His only other model would have been Mortal Kombat 1, which would have not messed well with Bardock's model for Fighter Z.
Right foot.
But the face of Omni-Man's model just really looks off to me. It looks a lot more clay-like than it should. Not helped by Omni-Man's realistic teeth being shown at parts. Please keep your mouth closed, sir. You may not be British, but God, your mouth being open is cursed. Speaking of mouth openings, I don't think the lip sync is all that good either. This might just be a me thing, but listen to this line right here.
This planet isn't anyone's to conquer.
I cannot be the only one who doesn't think that the mouth is in line, right? I can't, right? Please tell me I'm right. And the final negative I'll get on the animation out of the way is that there is indeed some jank here. Omni-Man threw that ship way too quickly, as well as the fact they used the boom.png for Bardock's transformation. And this is where my point from the start of my section comes into play. This matchup was not the original premiere episode. That was the episode after it, Joker vs Giorno. This matchup was on the Kickstarter campaign and was the first goal hit. My point here is that since it was for the Kickstarter campaign, there's a very good chance that this episode had less production time than usual episodes. The reason I'd have a problem with this especially is that if there was more production time used, we would have had these problems ironed out. Obviously, this is in no way the fault of Death Battle, Devil Artemis, or fucking anyone besides Warner Brothers, but if this episode had more time in the oven, I think a lot of these problems really could have been fixed. But that's what I disliked about the animation. What do I like? Well, I like vampires, lizards, Pokemon. Wait, no, wrong script. Well, the writing of the episode is really good. The set of the fight involves Bardock landing on Firaxa, which is the planet from Invincible, where Omni-Man bangs a bug. I am regretting everything about the human race typing that, and as Omni-Man doesn't take too kindly to intruders, he obviously goes off to defend Bardock. This means that the writing here is suited around post-redemption Omni-Man, comparing him to the Spurs down English pub against Homelander pre-redemption. This is also further enhanced by the song Solid State Invincible, which has direct inspiration from Diabolical Invincible Me, down to the instrumental on its own and even the lyrics. You feel the threat 'cause every step is like a It's also a good way to show the difference between the two episodes via Omni-Man, as while Diabolical Invincible Me uses Omni-Man's lyrics as he's still conquering the Earth, Solid State Invincible focuses on the people he couldn't save out of his redemption arc on the Bug Planet. Obviously, to no one's surprise, Brandon cooked with this track. It goes over the characters well, and the overall track on its own is a bop through and through. Even funnier is that it's not the weakest song this season, which should tell you just how good this season is. Granted, it has an unfair advantage, but silence. I will not let you critique my amazing skill at reviewing things. I don't explain things. What skill do I have? In terms of how much was used, I'd say we got a lot of things used in pretty decent ways. Bardock got to show a lot of moves off, build with the Ki Blast to keep Nolan moving before a ship gets eaten into him, or a Kamehameha that is utterly breathtaking with the scenery. He didn't really do much in 8 besides a combo getting his tail ripped off, which did lead to the funny moments, but there's not much to comment on, unfortunately. Nolan using a smart Amson more than a few occasions to boost his physicality is a good way to show him the upper hand, especially when it's up against the 8th form layer in the fight. This allows him to escape from its grasp, rip off its tail, and send Bardock into space. And when Bardock does go into space, we have peak fiction. However, I forgot to mention this earlier, but before we head into the space section, I will have to mention the voice acting by Tom Schulk as Omni-Man, reprising his role from Omni-Man vs. Homelander back in Season 9. He is reprising his role, and he sounds nearly identical to Omni-Man again, especially with this line.
Am I supposed to be impressed?
Which I think is a bit iffy with the lip sync, but the delivery of this line here is spot on. Same with this line too, near the end of the fight.
Your time is up!
Genuinely amazing work all around from Tom Schulk. Bardock's voice actor wasn't bad either. I liked how the dude made him sound in the final product, and I just think this is a generally good voice for Bardock. Nothing but good voice acting all around from the crew. The transformation into Super Saiyan is where a lot of my problems with the episode go away. Not only did they have the best line in the entire episode,
I won't let you take me from my wall!
but it also leads into scenes that are lit insanely well, leading into clash after clash as you're on the edge of your seat anticipating the final blow, before it all comes to a close.
You said Saiyan. Remember it.
God damn, that death was amazing. It is what I would say if the arm was the cause of the death, or at least the sun. But no, Bardock's death was suffocation. How do you fall with a back this badly? Instead of dying from battle or being killed in a way similar to how he died in canon, he died because he ran out of air in space. Anyway, as you know from other people, the general consensus for the winner, especially just before this episode, was Bardock. But Omni-Man won the episode. So did the conclusion do a good job at explaining the verdict? No! Going in, I, among many others, assumed that Bardock was stronger, but Nolan was faster. So the winner was chalked up to who you think would narrowly win. Until Super Saiyan was introduced, which basically tossed everything out the window for Omni-Man's winning. So go back to what I said before, Omni-Man is faster, but Bardock is stronger. That is what I said. So how come the episode flipped it, and the reason Omni-Man was stronger came from destroying a planet that needed help to stabilize and to do so, and had 3 other people there. Actually, no, it was 2 people. Omni-Man was one of them. This fucking high school leech, bro. And the Sun Disk, which I refuse to talk about, to save my comment section from looking like a literal war zone. Oh yeah, and that public reception, that sent people off. Granted, it wasn't Ben 10 vs Green Lantern, but it wasn't bad. What do you think about the whole reaction is that people joked about Gefal being sponsored by the Frieza Force. To be fair, I didn't agree with Frieza vs Megatron either, so I'd say that's completely justified. And that's really all I can say for this episode. A really good analysis, a fight that, while it had its merit with what it's shown, I wish was a lot more time to rest of the oven before being public. And a conclusion that I do not think gets across the window well at all. B did try to back up everything, but even then, a fair few in the Watch Party server did not agree with it. So either way, you tried, I guess? Who cares? Now, this may be number 3, but here's the thing. With how much this season knocked out the park in terms of its episodes, that does not mean I dislike this episode. That, and the season had 4 episodes in general. Why are you surprised this episode had a lower ranking than usual? No, quit typing your hate comments, I just referred to the other episode! Goku vs. Johto at number 3 is, I don't know how controversial. As of scripting, Danny the Sharingan is the only person who I know that made a ranking video, and their order is much different to mine. So, depending on who you ask, it might be hot? No, I don't know. But in general, I didn't really have much of a reaction upon this episode's reveal. I mean, sure, the debate was toxic, but that's because JoJo fans really like to overplay Golden Experience Requiem, to the point that, sometime after this episode's released, some people accused Liam Swan, one of the writers, of being biased against JoJo, when one of his passion projects was an episode where the JoJo character controversially won. Although if you ask me, Dio did win against Alucard, in terms of a versus sense. You know, if I had a nickel for every time Layden worked on a JoJo matchup with a controversial winner that made people call it bias, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's strange that it happened twice. But still, my 10 out of 10 ranking hasn't changed. I just prefer the other episodes. Let's start with the analysis section. To no one's surprise again, I prefer Joker's rundown, as I have a bit of interest in Persona, whereas I don't have any interest at all in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There have been a few complaints I've seen, like, it doesn't go to Joker's character at all, which, like, what character? Literally the max you need to know about Ren Amamiya himself is that he was mostly convicted of something by Shido, which they did instantly. His other cool things like his My Friends and My Power hacks are something that you could cover during the part of his arsenal. As cool as Joker is, he doesn't have much of a character, he's a player face. Unless you use the anime, which like, no one likes the anime, so why bother? Joker had a really interesting analysis, going into Persona 5's massive lore about Yaldabaoth and the metaverse, whilst also talking about Joker's other personas that he can use thanks to being a wildcard confidant, which is basically meaning that you can use multiple personas. See characters like Ansa Aegis and Yu Narukami, for example some other wildcard holders. Since Joker doesn't have too much of a character, the analysis mostly focuses on his feats and arsenal. Even the ending of the section is focusing about the biggest feat of using the Sinful Shell to kill Yaldabaoth, and free the world from the merge between real and metaverse. The analysis is also well edited, and the cutaway gag was really charming as it shows Wizard Boomstick in hand-drawn form, which makes sense since this was the original premiere until... I really need to let my rage out against Warner Bros. Now, a company is that allergic to money, it's beyond me. Giotto's analysis was fine. It did what an analysis should, but it was probably the least interested I was in an analysis. With other series I didn't have any interest in at all, like Invincible or Dragon Ball, there were some things that did interest me about their moveset, And while Giorno definitely had a spot on the other half of unique movesets, behind Joker, Bowser, and Eggman, his story was okay, I guess. But with how little interest I have in JoJo, I don't think I'm going to go anywhere near his story after all of this episode. The only JoJo that I have any sort of interest in is Part 3 with Jotaro. And that's not important because that's not Giorno, obviously. That's Jotaro, who have a different name. So they go through everything about Giorno. Well, I just wish I cared enough about either Giorno himself or JoJo as a whole to care enough about this entire analysis. But with how little I care about Giorno out of the way, time for the fight. The fight takes place in Giorno's palace, which is pretty much the only way to make the fight start in this case, since Joker would need to use the metaverse to get his powers. I do find it really funny how some people unironically believe that Joker will be outside of the metaverse in this episode. Like Deathbow wouldn't find a way to do this. If it was out the metaverse, Joker would die since his gun isn't real. It's a BB gun turned into a real gun thanks to the perception of the Batavik in the real world. Either way, the setup is good and lines up with Persona lore, as we see Giorno holding the calling card given to him by the Phantom Thieves. Giorno also does get to show a bit of his Italian heritage in this episode, via the way he says
Shogi fantasmi.
Well, with the voice he said Benibo Tachi, but the spelling is this, which is very different. I don't know my Italian. I need to watch more Lionfield. This fight starts with Arsene fighting Gold Experience in its base form. That's also where we get to see a lot of abilities used in a short amount of time, including Giorno's life creation, changing Joker's bullets into Mario and Luigi bees, as well as using his ability to overload Joker's perception. At least I think it's that. How do you explain that ability? Comment section, save me! Generally, abilities are thrown across very well. Between Joker's multiple use of Persona destroying off Giorno, as he would have one-hack client Joker used in his game of Minecraft Bed Wars, and countering Die For Me with his life creation, the move is called Die For Me, do not do it in real life, and upon being countered, Joker is once again caught off guard by Gold Experience's life creation, getting rid of his grapple hook, via turning it into a snake, as well as his guns by the bees returning to the gun's chamber. Since this is where the scene where the hand-joint elements show up, I want to talk about the art of this episode being amazing. Everything is really detailed and the shading is immaculate. One nitpick I have is that I wish Joker had as many of these shots as Giorno did. Outside of his hand, we didn't really see Joker hand drawn, which, to be fair, he does have a complex design. I would not draw that even if my life depended on it, which it does. But even with this caveat, the gunshot is still amazing. Back to the episode at hand, with Joker realizing what Giorno's gimmick is, Joker decides to send out the actual reason this episode's a 10 out of 10, I mean Jack Frost. Hee-ho, hee-ho, I have problems to negate the ability with Ice Age, but because Giorno hates the movies for some reason, Golden Experience Requiem comes out, and instantly sends Joker back to square one, and also giving him a mood that I already made a point about for how long it is, so here's how long it is again for the sake of proving the same point a second time. Yeah, around nearly 20 seconds of a Muda. I get it's a reference to a very long page of Mudas, but do you know how fast you have to speak in quick succession to do that for that long? Not even I could do that, and I have a natural talent of speaking fast ever since childhood. God, I love flexing. The voice actors here all did a really good job. Kieran Regan especially, considering he's the one who did the long Muda to begin with. Props to his voice acting as Giorno and Gold Experience. This was his first step battle, with an iconic role previously from... I have a friend in the Watch Party group who really likes Genshin. I should not be doing these jokes. Oh well, it's my content, I'll do whatever I want. Boing, 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 and Kevin Rivera as well did a really good job as Joker. A lot of people thought they got Sander for the role, but after looking more at the way he says Arsene in the intro, people realized that they didn't get Sander. They did confirm in a fireside chat that they usually don't want to get the original voice actors or something similar to that, and something like that might be difficult for Deathbow to do, not only because of contracts, but also because they just became independent. Speaking of Kevin, this is his third time on the show. He already voiced the Blue Alliance House Leader, Alfred Asparagus, Dimitri Alexandre Blayford, as well as the prototype human-turned-virus and destroyer of Manhattan, Alex Mercer. It's lovely to see him return too, especially since in this episode, he didn't really sound too similar again like he did with Alex and Dimitri. However, there are still cases where you can hear the voice actor's true voice actor, but at the same time, what can I expect? The voices are really similar across all three episodes. After the Joker gets booted, the music quells down. And speaking of music, now it's time to talk about One Requiem for a Thief. This track was composed by Werewolf Media and had help from Saraizi. I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm going to be completely honest, for the vocals. I'm not surprised that Saraizi was used with the vocals of this track. She did help with the vocals of Phantom's Game, a commissioned track that did involve Joker. The track was really good. The song mainly has Persona theming around it, shown through the instruments of the song creating a very similar vibe to the intro of Last Surprise, the battle theme of Persona 5. There are hints of Giorno's theme with use of a piano, which is remembered when the song drops after Joker gets killed by Jur before the end of the fight. This song is further enhanced by the lyrics, which should a go amount of references to both characters, shown in the beginning, Fun fact about that line specifically, I find the line of just when you thought the show was over to be really funny, since it was used with Death Battles in a rocky situation. After
you never see it coming.
But the ending of the fight around here is also related to the more interesting lyrics that correlate to the fighters, specifically this verse. And this line repeated a few times. Yeah, you get the picture. This song is really good to listen to on its own. I think it's the weakest in terms of listening to it on its own, but that doesn't serve from the song's overall quality. In the end, the song is amazing and fast to listen to and works really well for the episode. Enough about the song because I want to get the voiceover for this section done as soon as I can. Because next up is the climax of the fight. After Joker gets his ass annihilated by Gold Experience Requiem, he is sent to the interrogation room. A direct reference to the bad endings in the base game, where if you choose to rat out your friends, you get shot in the head by Akechi and die. That's not the only bad ending in the game, you can get a lot of bad endings, but still, Joker is gonna die again, but because he's a wild card and also a Persona user, is it just wild cards, or does everyone have Friendship as power card? I still need to play Persona. Joker gets his blue power back from where he lost it, summoning the jump cards in the fight.
Maybe you didn't hear me before. Checkmate.
Jesus Christ, bro! You didn't need to disintegrate him that hard! I swear the heroes get the worst deaths than the fucking villains do. And that's been an extreme case since the oh my. This ending is brilliant. Joker breaking out the death loop through us really hard, as well as the scene where Simple Shell is shot. I also like how Jur rushed in to try and Muda the bullet, as well as use Absolute Zero when he had no other option, but both failed, killing Jur and killing Giorno with it. This would also likely result in Giorno dying in real life too, as a shadow being killed in Persona 5 causes a mental shutdown, which can lead to a heart attack, which is pretty scary to think about. You also get this neat little reference to Persona 5 EXP collection screen, which shows that Joker got no EXP from Giorno. Now that sounds crazy. How did Joker get no EXP from a combatant he clearly struggled against? Well, the conclusion tells us why, so let's go there. The conclusion starts with Joker basically annihilating Gold Experience in base on its own. Whilst the life creation could result in Joker needing to plan around it, nothing was stopping Joker from using Ice Age against it like he did in the fight, as well as just generally outstatting, forcing Giorno to use Requiem. Speaking of Requiem, The main debate came from if Simple Shell was able to one-shot, which, yes it does. The funny thing is that they use game reasoning to help define the facts. Now, the game being used at all is controversial, since on its own, the game isn't canon. However, the writer and I think mangaka of the series was a part of the team looking over the game, which should be standard for most games featuring an IP, barring a fair few. And Dio is basically the reason that Almighty Damage, the thing that Simple Shell dealt, was the reason Giorno lost. Giorno was unintentionally fucked over by his own father by accident. That is simultaneously really funny of him, as well as super in character. Dio would definitely be the kind of person to do that, even to his own son. People do seem to have an issue with them using non-canon material, but they didn't use it to create a new feat, and since it had the main guy on board to help, as he knows the characters, I think it's justified for the team to use in this episode. Hell, the next time is even interesting. Even though the next type of the matchup was one I was greatly anticipating, there was still a ball trend into it the amount of yen won after Joker killed Giorno. If you separate it like this, you get a date, and that date is when the original Mario Bros. Came out, which I think is a really interesting and a good way to clue eagle-eyed viewers into the next time, even if it did need a rewatch because no one would have guessed that immediately. Either way, this episode is amazing, but the other episodes simply outshine it. That should just tell you how good these episodes are. Among Us! Speaking of passion projects, let's talk about Larry Winwood's passion project. Now, as my longtime viewers know, after consuming the peakest content this site has to offer, you know that I don't like Among Us vs. Fall Guys.
Oh, fuck off!
Despite my status as the king of comedy, enhanced by my neurodivergence, I never found this matchup funny. It's always going to be like Bendy vs. Cuphead, where I think this matchup didn't need to happen as it's really outdated. Although at least with this, I can say that there is a redeeming quality of it not being thematically awful. Why does the Bendy matchup not focus on the fucking ink demon? That's just blatantly... Now, this episode being technically a finale, the intro is unique in its own case. I'd say it's somewhat like the intro to the Season 9 finale, where it opens with Wizard Boomstick giving a slight exposition dump before arguing over which two of the mutual thinks is better. However, instead of Goku fusions though, it's 2020 Bean Games. The analysis is also really unique since the media they look into is more than just games, but also the crossovers they've had, which is a lot of crossovers, especially in Fall Guys' case. Fall Guys also had a deep dive into their Twitter feeds, and approached the show using Twitter to get feeds. Just sounds like something I'd see from a biased versus show. But their general feeds on their own are also pretty unique too. Fall Guys enter a state of set and get right back to the game at hand, which is... wait, what? And an Among Us chicken nugget selling for a bullshit amount of money. Which, going in, I already knew about that because a YouTube short mentioned it. But in general, its analysis as a whole is unique. It goes into both characters, I guess, with a lot of exaggeration related to this story. It's more relevant for Among Us since Wiz goes over it like it's some new TV show, a new drama documentary if you will. Most Fall Guys makes it out like a basic Wipeout-ish show, but the general theme here that they go for is really unique, and definitely gives a lot of a style to the analysis. Now you learn more about beans using guns to destroy planets, also fighting the Light Big Bang. Well, at the beginning, the beans don't fight yet. They are on scale, where there are some sussy backers among them. However, before you can cringe at the fact that I used a term that died in 2024 years later, which I am not apologizing for, the reactor goes off, and while the Fall Guys all panic with no idea what to do, besides Purple for a few seconds because he's quirky like that, the crewmates all have a period reaction to the whole situation. Best OTP of Death Battle, by the way, don't ask me. Brown makes it in between reactor and security, but Sign comes out of nowhere and ends his life. Brown probably had a wife and kids, so that's probably not good news. Wait, can people cry in Among Us? I mean, it doesn't have much of a face. The face is the visor. I don't know. Yellow Fall Guy does have a face, and he is spooked at the sight of a body, because Fall Guys don't know what a blood is. This is the first time they saw a corpse in real life. Everyone now gets sent out of the ship, with iconic lines such as, "Peace sign! Hey yo, that's RPS, okay?" Oh god, I really need a shit! Shh, we don't tolerate rats. Before landing in Rainbow Land, all 9 remaining survivors land on the Fall Guys app, and the camera shifts to trick them all and to make them 3D. Well, most of them do anyway. Before the next round of Among Us vs Fall Guys begins with the PNGs of the rounds passing, as crewmates get eliminated, as well as other Fall Guys. 4 rounds pass and 1 person gets eliminated per round. Since after 4 people get eliminated and the memory minigame passes, what the fuck? 5 people remain. At least until Orange gets hit by a ball, a crewmate does the chant course task before getting eviscerated, very brutal death, and then Cyan gets sent into a wall with a Danganronpa reference in said role. Okay, you know what? By this point, just do correct and my fucking misery. And in the end, the winner is Pink Fall Guy. However, the Purple Fall Guy was red, the sussiest of backers, because bro was clearly looking to see what others are doing in order to copy the other Fall Guys, as well as him shushing you as he flies past. And now he's going to kill someone. Is that now shot? However, the Fall Guy deflects a bullet back into the Among Us imposter, which begins, "What?" This truly makes me believe that all I see is violence and movies and sex on TV. But still, after a beat up, we see, "Oh, bugs, but now they lead to a transition that I made up on the spot." The track, Sussy Beans. You know what? I'm calling it Crown a Liar for the sake of not going mad. It's a song that begins with slight Among Us ambience before leading more into the Fall Guy side of things. This song keeps us up around where the purple Fall Guy reveals himself as a red imposter, leading into more of a tense song before the banana bomb explodes. This leads into one of the hypest guitar riffs which you just heard earlier. This song in general is really good, and well composed by using sound bites of both series well. The only thing I can't the only reason I don't go into this as much as I can is because it doesn't have lyrics. Which, thank God it doesn't. Among the Fallen really didn't need to have lyrics. However, the song by itself is still really good and deserves a lot for its quality. All of this leads to the climax of the fight, which is chock full of references. There is stuff like Pac-Man, Doctor Who, Vampire Survivor, He-Man, I think SpongeBob, and by this point, only Red Imposter and Pink Fall Guy remain. The ghosts of the crewmates and Cyan Imposter were eaten by Pac-Man, and the Fall Guys were all eradicated by the gun. In the end, the Fall Guy and Imposter are fighting, but while the Imposter is fighting to catch a body, the Fall Guy just views the Imposter as an obstacle. So when the Fall Guy sees the crown, off he pops. Why am I an imposter? Was my life a farce? Is my goal pointless? Why do I kill things? Whatever. Whee! One chase sequence later, and we get a hand-drawn shot that's on a similar level to the ones shown in the Vampire Survivors trailer. Upon the imposter grabbing the Fall Guy with his tongue, the Fall Guy sees the future, where he loses. He doesn't die, he loses. And the loss makes him go homeless because his wife left him to marry the imposter. Poor Fall Guy, man. He really deserves better than that. So, in retaliation, at the thought of his wife leaving him, Fall Guy grabs the crown, dives the imposter, and... So yeah, Fall Guy just pulled a Bardock and went, "I won't let you take me from my crown!" before bludgeoning the imposter with it. Realized the imposter was not stronger before default dancing. This script is slowly making less sense the more I write into it, both because the episode is insane and because I'm a madman who's lost the plot 3 years ago. Still, the amount of references here made my brain nuance activate, like a child seeing a character he likes in an Elsagate video, and the fight was just dumb fun. I should have expected this upon review, but I'm dumb and don't have that. For conclusion, was a conclusion. I didn't care for it. It did its job, and that's what it needed to do. So, subscribe, like, comment, follow my Blue Sky, Twitch, whatever else is in my description. Okay, yeah, I don't have anything else to say. All I can do now is move on to the last entry of this list. If the video of this sounds any different to the other videos you've heard, this is because I'm recording this in 2025. I've been procrastinating on this a lot. There's a lot of things to talk about this episode, I'm scared. Now, given the season's really short episode poll, I think the spot was extremely obvious. Didn't help that in the review of this episode, I directly said that it's my new favorite episode of the entire show. To which, I have to say, so what if it is? I am okay with being obvious. I am obvious and I am proud. You hear me? Well, yeah, I'm loud, but I'm obvious and I am proud. I'm obvious and I am proud. Someone who wants to be unique, am obvious and I am proud, isn't unique. Actually, no. The correct term for me isn't unique. I'm just being as objective as I can be. Anyways, yes, the episode I call my new favorite of the show is number 1. Who would have guessed? This truly does make the table turn upside down with sheer shock, my good friends. Okay, but like, people have this opinion too. If not, at bare minimum, it's top 10. Granted, I can't say that if people disagree with the verdict and take it to Twitter to throw a hissy fit, but what do I know? I'm not a hacker. Now, if you know me for 2 minutes, you know that this is the matchup that I was the most excited for upon the Kickstarter reveal, as I had the most personal attachment for both series, with Ruby vs. Maka being a case where I didn't care for Solier, and as someone who likes Pokemon, I mean, where do you think the chill my username comes from? I've already grown to despise talking about it in the Versus community, because people are so illiterate, or want to go against the series, or I always want to go back on topic. To begin, this analysis is probably the most up-to-date analysis in this season, using footage from Mario and Luigi Propership, Mario Party Jamboree, even with Boomstick's name in the bottom left, and Sonic X Shadow Generations for the analysis. And by the time that these games came out, these games were at best months old. I'm pretty sure Mario Party Jamboree was less than a month before this episode's release, if not just under a month old. So that's just really up to date. There was a lot of research put into this episode, as you can tell. The analysis goes over 3 important things. I will dissect all 3 of them into separate sections for the sake of runtime. The first and least interesting is Army, because whilst the Spawn, Gojo, and Chapter 236 is interesting, the rest aren't. Ah yes, Goombas. I could definitely make a joke out of this, because they're, The next thing to go into is backstory. Now, I know that I am an expert in everything Nintendo, but I didn't even know Bowser was lonely and an outcast. He's just like me for real, and Bowser's army is also full of outcasts like himself. And while he may view his army as a bunch of lackeys, he does genuinely care for them, and will go out of his way to save them. His army repays with loyalty so massive that not even mind control can stop them from pledging themselves to Bowser. Eggman, on the other hand, was neglected pretty much his whole life. Growing up, he was surrounded by the name Maria. It felt like that was all he heard, and made him want to distance himself from his grandfather's legacy. As revenge, he planned to reshape the world in his own image, to finally get the attention he deserves. Unlike Bowser though, he viewed his army as disposable and programmed them to follow orders. I'll touch upon this more on the fight itself, but he does not treat his allies with respect, until Sage in Frontiers, giving Eggman more of a reason to actually care for his minions. The dynamic is where things are more fleshed out, but as I said, I'm going to wait until the fight to get to that. The last big is obviously their massive arsenal. Since this is technically a soft composite of the characters, I think, I'm in the fanbase and I don't even know how to use the terms in it. Basically, the characters get nearly everything, from normal things you would expect, such as other power-ups and mechs, to other items such as the Wonder Flower and the Phantom Ruby, as well as other things that originally came from non-canon media, such as a Star Rod, as Miyamoto confirmed Paper Mario is canon to the Marioverse, and the Metal Virus, as Frontiers ended up making the IDW comics canon. There is a lot to dissect here, so me going to all these items will take 10 million bajillion insert made up wordian years to explain. So I'll end off by saying that I really like the new animations that the episode gave. Not only did we get name cards for the characters during the analysis, but Origin animated unique scenes for both Bowser and Eggman's analysis, and the 3D team ended up creating end cards before the cover transition. Eggman's cutaways even a direct reference to Shadow the Hedgehog's opening cutscene. All around, amazing look, Jesus. And now the fight. I deeply apologize for future me for writing this section, cause we're gonna be here for essentially 5 years because of how much I need to explain. Thanks, asshole. Now, let's talk about the pre-fight, before the entire split screen show their armies. Let's talk about how much is referenced. Bowser is marrying Peach, a direct reference to the movie, as well as it being a paper cutout being a reference to Super Paper Mario. The marriage takes place in the same location as World Bowser from Super Mario 3D World. Orbot and Cubot do Bowser, revealing Operation Catfish from Sonic 2 the film. Eggman makes an announcement starting with the goddamn Snap Cube line, and also references in Eggman Land 2. A nod to how the first one was destroyed in Unleashed. Eggman then brings out Egg Fleet from Heroes before saying, "Get a load of this," which is one of his repeated catchphrases, specifically in the Egg Fiber boss from the first Sonic Adventure game. You can already tell from the amount of troops hand-drawn that this is going to be another amazing fight, especially with the amount of references and the overall quality of the animation, as it's really smooth. There was a lot of passion when it came to this animation. Now, where do I begin? Oh god, I just realized I have a lot to explain. I'm going to be seen on missing posters by the end of this video. So the general animation was done by Moro in an extremely quick amount of time for one person. I imagine there was at least a team, but Moro was the main animator. The animation, if my memory serves correctly, took around a year. The episode began production around October to November 2023, which meant that this was pretty much an episode happening in Season 11 bare minimum before Rooster Teeth shut down. I'm not referencing them again, I was serious earlier. So to get all this done, as well as adding in alternate scenarios in a year, is incredible. Obviously, all this stuff isn't in 2D. Stuff like Fury Bowser and the Egg Dragoon are 3D, but retextured to suit Moro's art style, which it does really well. So good on the team for making it look well and blend in with the animation. The generals also get to show off a bit here. Even the Chapter 236 frauds. Infinite takes out a plethora of Bowser's minions with gravity manipulation, and King Boo takes out Infinite in an extremely painful way via using a front to crush him in said gravity manipulation. Insert 50 impact font memes for the Hall of Fame that this became a meme for. Bowser Jr. and Sage both helped their dads narrowly escape death, even if Bowser was definitely dead after Metal kicked through him. And speaking of Mel, both him and Kamek used their powers to get a slight edge for a few seconds. Mel was also single-handedly able to take care of every other general, and put Fury Bowser on the back burner via the form of Super Neo Metal. All in all, everyone had a hand in this invasion on both sides, whether it be Eggman who kickstarted it, or Bowser defending his land. And overall, the characters were all treated with respect. Bowser and Eggman both perfectly encapsulate a contrast between them that elevates this matchup. That being the theme of freedom versus control. Bowser's troops are all organic life forms, with mechs only being used by Junior. These creatures all follow Bowser, serving their king with their willpower carrying them through thick and thin. This is because they all trust Bowser with every move. They have their own might and faults. Eggman's army is all machinery, all serving under a specific code. The codes follow him and his orders at all times. They all have programming to make them unable to betray their creator and create their own thoughts on their own, as if they do that, they will likely betray him. This is why he has a rivalry with Sonic. Sonic is freedom, Eggman is control. Eggman only opens up when he talks to Sage and considers her a daughter. In other words, Bowser needs his army because the army needs him, whilst Eggman needs his army because he needs them. This contrast is shown when each army charges into battle. Bowser's army charges forward upon being ordered, in order to help their king. The point is also a reference to the Mario movie. Eggman didn't order anything, because they are programmed to follow the order. They do not have a say in the matter. And I think that contrast is really well shown across this entire episode. Anyways, Game Over is so goddamn good, oh my god! There's no fuss, I like Game Over. I'm going to make this as brief as I can because I want to get this video out and another gaming video before Curious vs. Ashura's release and live for a few days in peace. This song is my new favourite of all time, but Death Battle. It perfectly encapsulates everything in a final boss sounding theme, with lyrics that directly tie into each character's main themes, at the beginning of the song, focusing on Bowser's fire and Eggman's tech.
Spikes reflect, the fires glow, the stage is set. Let's start the show. Enemies onward, marching to Hackett's Lash, looking skyward to where the titans clash.
Both of these aspects are enhanced in the chorus, where both characters are referenced at the same time as they want to recreate the world in their image.
Behold the king, annihilating everything in a sea of flame. With these machines, fabricate a new reality in resemblance of me.
All of this leads up to the section of the fight where Fury Bowser comes out, and we get some of the coldest lyrics that the entire series has ever put out.
Reshape it all in my own image. Tear it down and build it up again. Smashing through your shell so fragile. Brute force will always win.
The fact that smashing through your shell can be interpreted as either breaking Bowser's shell from him being a turtle, or Eggman's shell from him being compared to an egg a lot, is insane as hell. All of this leading up to the climax of the song, that just shows how far that these kings are willing to go.
Two kings killing for the crown. Two kings killing for the crown. Choose their claim. They will terrorize everyone down. Behold the king, let it be known, who sits upon the throne.
Can you tell how much I like this song? Okay, back to the fight at hand. Speaking of, let's talk about the climax of this fight, because this further amplifies my points. Eggman is in a corner basically, as his Death Egg is much weaker than Fury Bowser's sheer wrath. Sage and Metal Sonic are the ones doing the heavy lifting, whilst Bowser can hold his own, and have his own troops screw over Eggman's army as well. All of this leads to his generals being taken out of the army, including Bowser Jr., which resulted in Eggman's greatest mistake.
How dare you keep your hands off my...
That line goes so hard, no matter how many times I hear it. Bowser fries Mel out of super form and kills him, as well as destroying Eggman's whole fleet. If I had to guess, him flamethrowing the sun so badly, he made it into a black hole. That's fucking raw. Eggman's machine crumbles, and by this point, Eggman has only one option.
Sage! The Death Egg! Max power!
That is fucking chilling. The moon, or what we thought was the moon, suddenly glows and moves out of the way before firing a laser down on Earth is one raw as hell image. Eggman's army all run away as fast as they can, whilst Bowser's all stare, realizing they are not making it out of here without becoming ash. However, Bowser tanks the shot for his army, disintegrating in the process. Whilst this was a fake out, it went super hard. Eggman thought he won, but no. Bowser Jr. turns his ship into bricks, before turning the Death Egg into a question mark block concerning Eggman with one more line to comprehend what happened. This is basically where Eggman's final wishes need to be made, because he is not getting out.
So long, Doctor!
That ending was way too tense. It was so good. I'm gonna be repeating myself if I go into it, so I'm gonna go into the... Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. Well, it all started when I disagreed with the Bowser conclusion. The conclusion! I don't agree with it. End of section. Okay, let me be a bit more descriptive. I think some sections here are waffle. Okay, fine, I'll be serious for a second. I want to explain, in brief, but easy to understand detail, because I'm cool like that, just why I disagree with it. Essentially, my first main point here comes from the fact that they are giving items universal power. because Bowser, the person that escaped the items, is claiming that he wants to take over the universe. The reason I disagree with this is because Bowser would not know just how powerful something is. Whilst he is definitely smart, he is a bit slow. And he is slow enough to not know how strong something is. He wants to make his universe the captivating audience, but like, can it do that? Because unless it does, I doubt it completely. I'll just say that. The second point comes from trump cards. I must say it until the day I die, I don't think Jimmy Bowser is that powerful. Now with Spain, do whatever you want, but it didn't do much in the game itself. I did go back on my point where it wouldn't evaporate Mario and Luigi because their asses were saved by Peach and Starlo. But that doesn't mean it didn't do so little throughout the entire game besides heal Bowser, spawn minions, and do cool things. Time Eater objectively does more than this. And third, armies. To give a quick recap, Bowser has chemistry and Eggman has power. Power beats chemistry, so Eggman beats Bowser's army. They get Sage's calculations wrong. Her calculations were about the end as a whole and not the H's. But also her AA was limited because of Eggman restricting her potential. Power-ups do nothing for Bowser's army. God forbid, my worst nightmare, a cat Goomba of all things. And chance time is something I can't argue with. But besides all I disagree with, which really isn't that much from here, I really like how the conclusion was at least descriptive. They go into a lot of detail about why a character did win a particular category. And while I do not agree with half of it, I do think the detail that they did go into was really good. Also, for next time, though I didn't like it, gave birth to the oh-so-wonderful "Oh, fuck off!" sound that's become basically a meme in my friend group. Even if I sometimes want to punch in those friends with a bottle of cola. All in all, the best episode of the show. Even if I disagree with the conclusion, the animation and analysis were just that good. That's the main thing to take away. And short ranking complete. Oh man, what a fun ranking of this season. Wait, why the fuck am I a skeleton? There is so much fun stuff to be had, and while there were definitely some stinky doo-doo moments, I still really like the season. Is it the best season of overall Death Battle? It had 4 episodes. That advantage is more unfair than the treatment I get on Discord. So, in the end, I'm excited for season 25, Bash 2025, no, who cares? So, if you like this ranking, let me know and I'll continue with the other seasons. If you don't, too bad. I am too cool to care about the opinions of others. Anyways, I can't make a neat transition. So,